I'm Megan Skidmore. For 2.5 years, I have been talking about evolving faith journeys. I started to tire of the heaviness of this focus. I had the clear message come through. It is time for Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast to evolve into Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. With the same vulnerability and unapologetic authenticity, I will be focusing on the joy in this journey, the life and the living that comes on the other side of maybe, on the other side of what's possible. I want to talk about claiming spiritual sovereignty and becoming your own captain of your vessel. Let's celebrate releasing what no longer aligns for you and connecting with your higher power and honor expanding your energy field to make room for all things new. The vibration is high this month on Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. Pretense is dropped and caution thrown to the wind in each interview. I am dropping a new episode daily, spotlighting one of the amazing, soul-led, heart-centered authors of Joan of Arc Publishing, or JOA Publishing, founded by Kira Brinton. Like the namesake for this publishing house, each one embodies the fearless, God-centered spirit left by the legacy of Joan of Arc. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single one. All right, everybody, buckle up because this is going to be fun.
It is.
Here we are again, another day, another podcast episode drop for our JOA month-long book club. And I have Trisha with me today. Welcome, Trish.
Hi, Megan. I love you. I'm so excited for this.
Me too. You are, I think, the only one who I've interviewed this month that just got back from Miami. And we'll get to that eventually, why you were in Miami. But let's get started first. Share with everybody who you are and a little bit about yourself, your family, faith, all of those things.
Perfect. So I'm Trisha Biesinger. So it's kind of like singing bees.
Okay.
I am a life coach, just like Megan. So I went to the life coach school in 2020 and became certified. And after that, I did an advanced training with Jody Moore coaching and learned all of her amazing tools. So really took a deep dive into coaching. But before that, I'd always been obsessed with psychology and the mind my whole life. So in college, I studied psychology, behavioral science, all of those things. So I graduated in that, and I was going to be a therapist. And that was like my goal. I'm like, okay, I'll graduate in behavioral science and psychology, and I'll go on to be a therapist. And it just never felt right. It was so weird because I'm like, I've done all this schooling. I love the mind. I want to help people. Why does this feel like a no? Like when I would look up schools, it was like, nope. So I was like, maybe it's just the time of life. Maybe I should have kids first. I don't know, but it just never felt right. And then I found coaching years later, and I
Wow.
oh, this is for me. This kind of marries all the things that I love. And I love that it's more present focused. I love that it's more future focused. It's more within your control. It's like tools that are so like easy to understand and easy to implement really quickly. People can change their lives pretty fast with coaching. So I really, really, really love that. So I've been doing that for 5 years. And my specialty is relationships. I love to coach women on marriage, dating, all the dynamics that go in with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually coach athletes on their mindset as well. So it's kind of an interesting split.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, that just kind of happened. So people are like, coach relationships and women. And then I also coach athletes. That's something that just started doing. Like one of my clients was like, could you help my daughter with track? And I'm like, probably. And then that was my magic. It was wild. So I do both, and it's so fun.
That is very cool. I did not know you were at the life coach school the same year I was. I started in September of 2020.
You did. Okay.
Yeah,
I was, I think, May 2020. Cool.
fantastic. Look at that. Well, I could have said the exact thing that you just did. I share a lot of those same loves. My,
Amazing.
yeah, my undergrad and graduate were in the social sciences as well,
Mhm.
psychology and sociology. So I feel you. I was going to be a therapist once upon a time too.
Were you? Okay.
When I found coaching, it's like, okay, yeah, The fit,
Mm-hmm.
it was just there. It just, I knew it.
You
How
just feel it.
fun. How
Yeah,
fun. I had no idea. We felt the same that way.
this is my
So,
vibe. Me and Megan, we vibe.
yes, that's right. We do. So share with us, Trisha, tell us a little bit about your family background and your faith and all of those things. And I
Yeah.
think that will eventually lead us into the book that you wrote with Joan of Arc Publishing.
Yes, I
Huh,
would love to talk
okay.
about that. This is a
Okay.
perfect podcast, I feel like, for my message. So I'm really grateful to be on it. So my background, I grew up in Utah and in Utah County specifically. So everyone, what, not a diverse place, not a diverse place, a little town, not so little now, but it's Cedar Hills and it didn't have a stoplight or a grocery store. And we had to drive all the way to Orem to grocery shop. So it was like small and cute and most neighbors and almost every single friend I had was LDS and my family was LDS. And so I grew up in that faith, going to church every single week. My family wasn't the family that was like, sure, we're LDS or what we would call then Mormon, right? It wasn't taken lightly in my family. It was kind of intense.
Okay.
And because it was also like the community and everyone kind of at my school, I mean, it's such a, I think, unique place to grow up in Utah County, Utah, because
Mhm.
you don't get a lot of different, at least where I live, there wasn't a lot of different faiths or color or diverse thinking. It was pretty much like we are all kind of swimming in the same fishbowl. And so I
Mhm.
had a great childhood, but I would say, like it really was fun. I was very extroverted. I had a lot of friends in my neighborhood, and it was just easy to be like, oh, if everyone believes what I believe, like I never had to have it challenged. I didn't
Mhm.
have friends outside of my faith being like, why do you think that? And what's that about? And I didn't have to answer questions. It was just, we all think, we all believe the same. We all think
Sure.
the same,
Yeah.
right? So I feel like that kind of describes kind of my childhood was this like, being LDS was a massive part of my childhood. Young women's, I was in
Mhm.
the young women's presidencies. I almost always had a
Yeah.
calling. I spoke in church. I bore my testimony. I was like very engaged in like girls' camp. And
Mhm.
it was a lot of times like a leader, I would say, in my own age group or whatever. And I
Sure.
really like every member missionary, like everyone should be a part of this church because it's the best, because I was told it was the best. So anyway,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there was a lot of like it fit at the time it felt fine. But then like growing up and traveling the world and living different places, you're like, oh,
Mm.
interesting. I grew up very interesting. So yeah, kind of a
Eye-opening.
background on that. Do you relate with that, Megan? I don't know if you have a similar.
Um, yes, yes. I grew up my younger years in Arizona in a small town. It's now big in Gilbert,
Mhm.
Arizona. And
Oh,
so it was all members at that time even as
yeah.
well. But when I was about 10, we moved out of the state. And from then on, it was a little less so. So I kind of got a taste of both worlds, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I went to high school in Indiana
Mm.
and then eventually on a mission and all those things, all the LDS things. But I think you got me beat on the poster child.
Oh no.
Just, I'm totally kidding. I'm kidding. So you mentioned that then you traveled, you got to see some of the world and you
Hmm.
started to realize different perspectives, different ways of living, different ways of experiencing life. And I'll insert, I'm assuming different ways that people believed and observed those beliefs.
Exactly, yeah.
So, what effect did that have on your faith journey, if
Yeah,
any?
that is a great question. And I feel like it's important to say too that there is a difference between LDS kind of culture and there's different LDS cultures depending on where you live.
Yeah.
There is like a cult, and that's normal for humans, right? Like if you
Hmm.
Indiana, different culture than Gilbert, Arizona, right?
Yeah.
And you could be in the same religion and live different places in the world, and people will kind of worship slightly differently.
They
Similar,
will.
but differently, you know? And I
Hmm.
think coming from where I came from, it was pretty, I like to say rigid. And it's not that my life growing up felt like I played a lot in all the things, but like looking back now, I'm like, oh, like I can see the rigidity now. I can see the very like kind of that uptight, fear-based scarcity mindset that kind of fuels into your belief in God. And just rules are very important, I feel like, and systems are very important. And what
Hmm.
you do and don't do is so important. And it kind of all comes with this fear, like you're going to get in trouble, or you're not going to be
Right.
helped by God, or you're not going to be blessed by God, or
Right. It's a bit infantilizing.
exactly, yeah. And I didn't see that as a child. I didn't notice. I just was like, great, we just play by
Yeah.
the
It's
rules,
all
and
you knew.
here's all I
Same.
knew. And I thought everybody else kind of knew that too in the world. And my world was so
Right.
small, I didn't know. So and I graduated seminary in high school, then I graduated institute in college. I mean, I was like, my religion is life, you know? So, because it was like all my family's lives. Like I didn't really know a life outside of the church. I didn't really see a lot of family members doing that or friends doing that. So it just was my whole world. But then like and I got married to someone who's also LDS, comes from kind of a similar family. Different kind of culture though. He grew up in the Bay Area, California,
Yeah.
LDS, which is a different culture than Utah
It
County.
is.
So he had a
Absolutely.
lot of diversity. He was like one of the only LDS kids in his school. I was like one of
Yeah.
7,000 most, right? So
Yeah.
that's been an interesting thing to notice. He had a lot more just open-mindedness and like friends of all different faiths. And I'm like, wow, I would have loved that because I honestly like truly love diversity and I love people and I love all the different unique things. So sometimes I'm like, man, I would have loved to have that, but I didn't. So traveling, we've lived in different states while we were married because we did summer sales for solar. So we lived in Minnesota and El Paso, Texas, and we lived in Gilbert, Arizona for a year. And so it's like I got to kind of just like experience these different cultures and these pockets of people. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. People live differently and they think differently and they believe differently. And I think that's one thing that I have now expanded so much is I've seen so many places in the world. I've traveled to different countries, all with like a pretty open mind and just a love in my heart for people. But there is kind of that background chatter always of like growing up
Hmm.
thinking like we're the only right ones.
Yeah.
And God kind of favors us because we're doing it right. Those kinds of things that have kind of been background noise for me,
Hmm.
it's just been interesting for me to notice and be like, it's so interesting that if someone's believing different, I was kind of brought up to believe, well, like they think they're praying to God, but they aren't really because they're not really doing it the right way. Or this right
Hmm.
way and wrong way was very baked into me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm sure you can relate with that.
Hmm.
And so I feel like that is a lot of why I wrote the book that I wrote.
Tell
Massive
us about that.
backstory.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a big fast forward.
Yeah. It's just it's been a journey with faith. It's been a real interesting journey coming from such a kind of closed-minded,
Hmm.
close-knit group to growing up and maturing and learning about the brain and learning about people and
Yeah.
psychology. And just realizing that I wasn't taught faith or a gospel through that kind of lens
Yeah.
of like how the human mind works and the human behavior and emotions that we feel in our like all those things that I learned in school and I learned through coach training. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Like how Anyway, it's just been a real journey being a coach, sitting with people of different faiths. And I started to see patterns as a coach, working with LDS women on their relationships and women that lived across the country and never heard of my religion and their
Okay.
relationships. And
Fascinating.
I started to see these patterns between the two because it was both married women working on their relationship. But LDS women and non-LDS women, it was a very different kind of issues, different inner workings, different beliefs, right? And I started to see patterns, and that was really interesting for me to notice.
Like
And
what kinds of things would you say were different?
I would say the one thing I started noticing with LDS women is just that more, I don't love this word, but it's the word that like that subservient,
Mm,
where I would ask them what they thought and they would tell me what their husband thought. Or I would ask them how they felt and they would tell me what their husband wanted them to feel or didn't want them to feel.
hmm
And so it was a lot of like, I'm trying, a lot of shame of like, oh, my husband's just so sick of me crying and he just wishes I could be more grateful for him and I want to be and I'm trying to be, but it's just really hard. And it was just this pattern of looking to their husband for their value, looking to their husband
hmm
for how they're supposed to be and how they're supposed to feel,
Yeah.
and having a hard time really thinking for their own self.
Yeah.
And just a lot of, I would say, emotional childhood, if I could say that,
Yeah. And it
where it was,
sounds like no
yeah,
differentiation of self either, really.
ah. And it was fascinating because this was a religion I also came from. And so I was like, this is fascinating to
Hmm
see it. Because as a coach, you're supposed to be a mirror and you're supposed to be neutral, right?
Right.
And so being a neutral place, it's like that gave me a different view, a different vantage point for certain patterns that I couldn't have
Sure.
seen in other ways.
hmm
And then women outside of my religion, it was like they had expectations and they felt fine having those. And they were like, well, this is, I want this and I want that.
Yeah.
And so they could speak their wants. They could have wants.
That is really interesting to
It
notice.
was so fascinating. And I don't want to put a blanket and say that's perfectly across the board, but
Yeah.
that's patterns I was noticing is very different. Yeah, one kind of was shrunk down and like felt bad for even feeling bad, and just that
Yeah.
shame. And then the others were just like, I don't know, should I leave this guy? Like, I don't know if I want to live like this. And I just
Yeah.
could see these identities where one was
Yeah.
like your identity is to be for someone, and the other was this identity of like, do I want this? And I'm
hmm
allowed to think like that. And I can think.
So when you were noticing these in your clients, was it more from a place of curiosity as their coach, or did you notice within yourself maybe some of the same types of patterns or
Mhm.
ways of viewing yourself? I mean, I'm not saying that's where you're at now, but I'm just
Yeah.
sometimes we're human too, and sometimes we can get activated when we hear the stories of our clients. And then, of
And
course, we do our work to work through it.
exactly. Yeah, I agree. And I think it was an interesting window into myself. I always had kind of prided myself though on being a woman that was very like independent and driven and I knew what I
hmm hmm
I feel like I little bit was born with that. Like part of my book talks about how at recess in like all elementary, I had this fire inside me that I was going to prove to the boys that I could beat them in every sport and I could beat them in arm wrestles. And no boy was better than the girls, and I was going to be the girl to prove it. So I don't know where that came from, but that has just kind of built in me where I am not like I think I just always was like I'm here. This is me. That like I'm good at
hmm
this and I'm gonna prove it. Yeah, I had to like prove things, especially to
Okay.
boys. I was like,
Okay. So,
you're not gonna pick me last. I can beat you in soccer. And they were like, who is this little tiny soft-spoken girl that has all of this passion and fire? So I think that's important to know. I think just even why I like working with women especially I think in the LDS community, is because there's this part of me that's like, wake up and just own what you want to say. Be your own person. If you have passions, you don't need permission. Like that little
Yeah.
girl inside me, she's very much alive and well and has a lot of fire.
Yes. Yes, she is.
So,
She would
yeah,
have to be in order to publish the book that you just recently published.
exactly.
Tell us then, what did motherhood wake up for
Mm,
you? And then eventually the story that you ended up sharing. Tell us a little bit about that.
yeah. So this book that I wrote, it's important to know that I was going to write a book just for like my coaching practice. I was going to write a book about mindset, about thoughts, about emotions, and how they impact us, and some beliefs, just
Mhm.
self-beliefs, our self-relationship, all of these things I had helped women work through that I was like, oh, I could put this in a book and I could change so many women's lives much faster, more women's lives. I set out to write the book with that in mind, also kind of terrified that the message that really burned in my soul would maybe come out. And I was real scared of that
Okay.
because it's a little bit taboo in my community and kind of family and my religion.
And what was that theme?
That theme. So, like you said, I think it's important to answer your question first because then it makes
Oh,
this.
okay.
But
Let's
when
do
you
that.
said, what did motherhood wake up in you? So, growing up in a religion where like your whole identity is kind of wrapped up in you'll become a mother. And that's like it. Like that's period, nothing better. End of the story. You'll be a mom someday, all that I dreamed about as a little girl, because all that I was kind of told was like, someday, how many kids will you have? And what will their names be? And you're given baby dolls. And you're
Yeah.
just kind of told that's your ultimate success is how good of a mom you are, right? And that's your ultimate goal. So I'm like, I want an even number of kids and I'm going to name them this and I'm going to, and I'm going to be a mom. And even when I went to college, it's like I wanted to be educated because many women in my ancestors, my grandmas, my mothers, like they didn't go to college. And my grandmas were single moms and working three jobs because they were both left by their husbands and left with all
Okay.
the kids little and they weren't educated. And then those stories haunted me as a little girl, where I was like, oh no, you can just be left and you got to figure it out. You got to provide for your kids and take care of your kids and you have to do all of it by yourself. Like that can
Mhm.
happen. So I paid for myself to go to college because I was scared that I'd have to take care of myself and I'd be left like my grandma's. And I didn't want to work three jobs. I just wanted one good job. So a lot of my decisions came from scarcity and fear. So I was like, I have to be educated. But when I
Mhm.
went to sign up for courses, I picked courses all that would make me a good mom. So
Mhm.
when I looked at it,
Interesting.
that's all I thought I'd ever really be. Like, you're not going to have a career. You're not really going to make money because you're just going to be a mom anyway. But part of me is like, I need to be educated just in case I'm left, like cheated on and divorced, because that was my family story. Not my parents, but both their parents. I looked through the list and I was like, engineer and all these things. And I'm like, oh, I'll do psychology because that'll make me a really good mom. I'll understand the mind and that will help me raise my children. I also love it, but like everything kind of had that base. So, long story long, got married, was married for 5 years, had my first kid at 28 in Gilbert, Arizona. And I was the one that graduated college, not my husband. I was the one that graduated all the things and top of my class and all the things. But I was like, oh, but I'm not the one that like makes the money. I'm not the one that has a career. Like, I'm not supposed to do that. So interesting, right?
Mhm.
So I get pregnant and my pregnancies were absolutely horrendous. And no one in my friends or families had really sick pregnancies. They all felt pretty great and they went about their day, da 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 da, had some tired moments, had some aches and pains, but like a lot of my friends and family loved pregnancy. So I'm like, I'll love pregnancy. And I hated it every actual minute because I was throwing up all the time, day and night, just really feeling like the actual stomach flu for 9 months, like, which is awful. That's just so
Yeah, it is.
awful. Like you
Did
can
you
barely.
have hyperemesis? As part of my commitment to giving back, every first Friday of the month, I offer a free coaching hour. Anyone is welcome to join, and you may leave your camera off and change your name if you would like to remain anonymous. This is an opportunity to get introduced to my style of holistic coaching and what it would be like to work with me, gain real skills, insight relevant to you, and fresh perspective on life circumstances. Each month is a different topic. For those attending, there will be opportunities for a complimentary one-off energy alignment session. Once registered, you will have access to discount codes for my other offerings. To get the link, including all the resources, register to complete the agreement at the link in the show notes.
Yes.
My
Um,
sister had that too.
yeah, so
It's
it's like
horrible.
IVs,
Yeah.
not everything tastes awful. You throw it all up anyways. You're just truly
Yeah.
surviving day to day. You're not living. You're not going to the
Mm-mm.
store. You're not waking up and thinking,
No.
what do we do
We're
today?
surviving. We're surviving.
And it's like a year, it's really.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this can happen. This is what it takes to make one person. What? No one told me this. And it was so hard. And so I have 3 kids, and every pregnancy was this way. So I felt traumatized by pregnancy, honestly. But like, who says that? No one says that. No one's like, I was
My
traumatized.
sister does.
I'm yes, me and yes, a few of us are like,
I
oh,
mean, I was sick, but I did not have hyperemesis gravidarum. No, I didn't have that.
oh.
So
But
bless you.
no, I don't know. And mine wasn't even like extreme hyperemesis. It was literally on like the verge because like some things I could keep down. So they're like, oh, well, it's not so. But like most things I couldn't. And it's just like a tricky thing to diagnose, I feel like.
Sounds
But
pretty significant to me. There's nobody's taking any measurements here. I hear you. It's just
uh, it
horrible.
was so hard. So it was just like depression. It
Mm-hmm.
was just life is over. I don't know who I am. I'm just making this baby. That's all I can do is lay here and survive. And when you're told that that's going to be your only thing you do in life, and that is the crowning of all the important things, and you hate it, I have all this education, and I'm like, I'm not supposed to have a career. I'm supposed to just do this. How will I ever do this again? Like my first pregnancy, I was like, how do I ever do this again? How do I ever? And then the guilt, because you're not supposed to have one kid. That's
Yeah.
weird. They gotta have siblings, and no, and your husband wants more kids, and
Right, right.
so I just really was, and then I was resentful that my husband got to have kids and didn't do all of that. And he just got to like live his normal life. And I was like, this is not fair. This is not fair at all. And then I would go to church on Mother's Day, so pregnant. And then we would just always say, like, we're Heavenly Father's children. And He loves us so much. And He created you and He created all of us. And I would sit there with this big old belly, so miserable, and think, how did He do it? Because if he could do it by himself, I want my husband to do this. I don't want to do this, but I clearly am the only one that can, between the two of us, I have to do it. And it's so hard. And so it just really got me thinking about how women create lives through such pain and we still give the credit to a man. I hate to say
That
that.
is,
But it's
no,
true.
don't hate to say it, Trish. You're speaking truth.
Yeah. And it feels uncomfortable because it's not something that most my friends or anybody acknowledges. So I feel like I live on this island by myself that's like, why do you care about that? Like, that's fine. But I could not unsee it. Like every time
Yeah.
I'm at church, 3 pregnancies of hell, and it's like he created all of us. I'm like, he? Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's true. I don't know. But it was just painful to hear. It was really painful to be left out of the story of creation when I was the one creating the
Yeah.
children
If
for
that
my
is true,
family.
I just have to interject this, Trish. If that is true, then I want to have a discussion about then the true meaning of gender and sexuality and what that means for all of us. But that's another conversation.
Oh my God.
I hear you. Yeah.
And thank you, because sometimes I speak this and people are like, "Why? That was so weird." Anyway, so that kind of was something that just sat at the bottom of my stomach all the time, like at church and any religious setting. I just felt like women are so left out of this story. We're so left out of being a creator
Hmm.
of life. And motherhood is just this like side note, like if like on if you're filling out a doctor paper, it's like, are you just a mom? You're like, do I have to be something
Yeah.
else? Like I can't even
Yeah.
survive. So anyways, that just kind of burned inside me, but I didn't feel like I was allowed to say that or think that because we don't really talk about a feminine divine. We don't talk about this mother God. We don't talk about her creating us. We don't talk about her women being gods.
Yeah.
And that was the pattern I also started to know as a coach was like with women who were so devoted to God, it was always only he, it was always only father. But these were mothers I was meeting with. And I started thinking like I heard nonstop, I'm not enough. I'm not good enough, mom. I'm not enough of this and not enough of this. And I started wondering like, well, I wonder if women would stop thinking they're not enough if we had language of their divinity, words of language that like mothers are divine, that mothers create that like from the God
So true.
you, that they exist there, that they matter there, that they're if mothers can't see themselves as a God in the making when they are creating life, as we say God does, no wonder we never think we're enough because we're like, I'm doing this, but it's never seen as
Yeah.
godly. It's never seen as all knowing, all loving, all
Hmm.
creating, which is mothers.
Yeah.
That is mothers, right? So I just started
Right.
kind of connecting those dots and wondering that, like, because as a coach, right, we talk about thoughts so much, and thoughts are sentences of words, language.
Yeah.
And when
Right.
we change words in a sentence, our body feels different.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, like, man, we don't have
Right.
language for women in a
Yeah.
godly way. So that's why my book is The God We Never Knew, is because I went to write a book on thoughts and mindset, and I just felt a flood from the divine feminine.
Mm.
And it shocked me. I didn't know that that was going to happen. But as the words poured out my hands, I was like, oh. And it was this God that was resonated with me. It was this God that was like, I understand the pain. I understand being a woman. I understand creating life. I understand what you've been through. Because I had that disconnect. Like with a father, I was like, how do
Yeah.
you know what this is? And maybe to most people that's okay, but I really needed like a God in the image that I could relate to and a God that could see me in the pain, the most pain I'd experienced becoming a mother and I could maybe just imagine there was a God that could relate to that side of it. And she just came through so strong and so powerful that I just sobbed as I wrote page after page after page. Like I was not writing it from my brain. I didn't know these words. I'd never been taught this. And they just flowed so
Wow.
beautifully and so powerfully. And I felt like that's why the subtitle is, empowering women, the truth of who they are. Is because we don't really know who we are. We're not really it's not spoken into us the same way it is sometimes
Hmm.
others. So yeah, that's a whole long story.
No, that is beautiful. I heard some details there that I didn't know. I mean,
Mm,
I've heard your story before, but I didn't hear the depth of that
mm,
knowing of the words that just poured out
mm.
upon you that you put to paper from the feminine divine.
Yeah.
I I just thank you for your bravery and your courage, for speaking your truth, for owning it, for acknowledging it, for listening. You said that thought that it just sat in the bottom of your stomach. And I loved that descriptor because that is where we carry our emotions, is in our body. And we've been so disconnected from our body for so long. And you didn't ignore it. You didn't you didn't push it away or brush it aside or decide that it was not that big of a deal. I know whether you hear from them or not, there are many women out there who are grateful that you're sharing this story because their stories are similar. Yours is going to resonate with theirs. And I know that. And the way you explain it, it makes so much sense why finding that feminine divine, that mother God was so important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you were not getting that validation. You weren't being seen anywhere else in this way.
Mm-mm.
And that's a most primal, innate desire that each of us has. I'll even say a need is to be seen,
I
not
agree.
not just a desire. It's a
Yeah,
need.
I agree with that. And that's been really like loud for me lately.
Mm-hmm.
Is because I have used to have this thought of like, I don't need to be seen, like I just need to see other people. And as a coach, that's the space I hold. It's not about me, I'm holding that space. And I feel like I got that was really scary for me to write a book that was just my thoughts and words, just my experiences,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just listening to someone else's. That's really safe for me
Yeah.
to be the one speaking it, especially something that I haven't around me heard that anyone totally cares about. Like a mother, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it's fine. We don't really need that. Don't worry about it. I mean, I was told all of that. It doesn't really matter. She's there, I think, somewhere. Like, it's fine. And I'd be like, but who am I going to become? Heavenly Father?
Yeah.
Like, well, like, no, but like, it's fine. And like,
Mm-hmm.
she's just like somewhere doing something. I was like, okay, but I'm not somewhere doing something. I'm creating people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a big deal.
Well, and I'm sure the thought of in that state that you were in, the
Yeah,
physical state that you were in, the thought of that for eternity was not your idea of heaven.
exactly. Exactly. And I just was like, maybe there's another woman out there that hasn't felt seen in
Mm-hmm.
creating life and having it be like, that is so amazing and godly and hard. And
Yeah.
we just are so used to it. You know, you see a pregnant mom at the store, you're like, "Meh, whatever. Billions of people are on the planet. They all came that way, but we're like, we're so used to it." And so I
Yeah,
really
we are.
wanted to like slow it down and I really wanted to give it such space that women could pause for just a minute and see themselves in that just for a minute. Because
That's
we,
so beautiful. I love that you have created that opportunity and that space for them. So your book was published or released, we could say just about a month ago, a little over a month ago.
yes,
This is
yes,
February of 2025, so the beginning of 2025.
yep,
And part of the writing of that is you went on an adventure with Kira Brinton of Joan of Arc Publishing. And then subsequently, you had the opportunity to share this story on a much bigger platform. And that is why you just got back from Miami yesterday.
yes, yeah. Last night at 2 a.m.
Okay. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Hmm. Yes, so going on a book adventure. So the cool thing about the book adventure, I didn't read a lot of books growing up. I wasn't a reader. Like I said, I was very like, I want to be outside and beat the boys at soccer. So I wasn't much of a reader. So my friends and family are like real confused as to why I wrote a book. Like, what? You don't really like books. But the thing that drew me to Kira was that she was so devoted to God, but she wasn't devoted to like the rules and like necessarily a religion. It felt free. And I
Mm-hmm.
had never felt free. I had never felt free that someone could love God and speak of God, but not within all of this rules. Like you have to go to church and you got to be on
Yeah.
time and you got to do it right. And I was very drawn to her for that. And then the fact that I could write in 5 days, because I've got three little kids. I can't spend an entire year or two trying to figure out how to write a book in this phase of life. So I was like, 5 days, I could do that. I can get people to watch my kids and I can go do that. So I did. I went to Mill Valley, California last May and I wrote over 40,000 words in those 5 days. And I
Wow.
think people think that you're writing from sun up to sundown and you're not. And that's the magic. Is you're writing for like 3 hours in a day, maybe five, but you're like taking a lunch break and then you're going for a walk. And we did so many other things that weren't writing. So it's not like I just stayed in a room in a chair for 5 days. We hiked and we went to the forest and we swam and we did all these things. And so really those 40,000 words, probably 15 hours
Wow. You were
that I was
truly channeling the divine.
right. And that's the thing is I had to surrender what I wanted this book to be for me, for my business. I wanted to title it this. I wanted it to be for my business. And I'm a coach and I have a book called The God We Never Knew. Like that's sometimes weird for me because I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Why didn't I name it something with like mindset? It makes sense. But that's the title God gave me, so I went with it. Sometimes I'm embarrassed, honestly, by it because I'm like, does that make sense to anyone? Is that a thing? I don't know. I often feel like I'm on an island by myself and no
No,
one
it made
feels
sense
this
to me.
way.
It made sense to me, and I think I can speak for all the other writers in the room about a month ago at our conference that they get it as well. So you got to share this in the way of filming for an upcoming, am I allowed to say this, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. For a new series called Legacy Makers. And
Yeah.
you got your own episode, correct?
Yes, I was offered a 22-minute episode on a new series called Legacy Makers. So this series hasn't been done before. This is new, and it's people telling their stories, telling their legacy. And what I love is how does a Utah County mom of three with a potty training toddler go on TV to talk about my legacy? Because you usually think
Mhm.
like we're so used to people's legacies being money, and we're so used to them being like these big famous people, and that's their legacy, and they've done these extravagant things, and they have private jets. And what I love about this Legacy Makers is it can just be the message of your heart.
Mhm.
It can be a mom. You don't have to have a massive business. You just are sharing. And it's like finally there's like a TV show that people can relate with.
With heart and soul,
Yeah, heart and soul.
a
So
lot of deep meaning. Yeah.
I got to go and I got to film and talk about my book and talk about coaching and how I change people's lives and why I love that and my legacy in that. And I just felt like they treated me like a superstar. And I just think like,
Because you are.
oh, it's so weird because it's truly like on the daily, I'm doing laundry and dishes. But I'm like, who better than like a mom on a mission to save other moms, to help other moms be
Yeah.
seen and tell other moms, hey, if you stop creating and you stop dreaming, you will be so depressed as a mom. And so you're allowed to dream and you're allowed to try new things.
Hmm.
And that's the hard thing with being a mom is anytime we do something for ourselves, the guilt follows
Yeah.
us. It's a real thing. The guilt followed me all the time. But I also have moments where my kids tell their friends, like, my mom's on Amazon. My mom's gonna be on TV. Like,
Well, where are you at now with the guilt? Less so?
um, ah,
In between?
it comes in waves. It comes in waves.
Okay.
Part of that I think upbringing, part of that I think
Yeah.
being told I'm only supposed to be a mom, and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm being a mom and a coach. I'm being a mom and I'm going on. I'm being a mom and I'm an author. Oh no, I'm doing too much. This is
Yeah.
not okay.
Well,
I
I
think
think
all the time.
Sorry. I
Yeah.
think that is the true legacy.
Mm.
Your message, the life that you are embodying. You're embodying your message, really. You know, money is fleeting and it can be gone overnight, but you are leaving the greatest gift for your family and for all of those who will read your book, who will see your episode on Legacy Makers later this year, correct?
Yes. In June, I think.
Of 2025. I cannot wait. I'm excited to watch those.
Yes.
So, the last question I have for you is reflective of the title of my podcast, and that is, what does living beyond the shadow of doubt mean to you?
Mm. Living beyond the shadow of doubt.
Mhm.
Doubt. I feel like doubt is so human. Doubt, our minds run to doubting ourselves so easily. I like to think of doubt as like sliding down a slide. There's not resistance to doubting. Like it's just whoop, like you just quickly and easily can go to doubt. But to face doubt and take action anyway is like climbing up the slide.
Mm.
It's like you can feel the doubt. Your brain can chatter all of these, like, you're not going to do it right. You're going to mess it up. What are
Yeah.
you thinking? You don't know what you're talking about. Like, whose brain doesn't do that, you know? And when we listen to that, it's like going down the slide. So easy. We can all do it super fast. We don't even have to pay
Yeah.
attention.
It's kind of automatic.
Automatic. Our primitive brain is very doubtful because it's scared of everything. It just wants us to be
Mhm.
safe. So it's like, question everything. We're gonna die. You should not do that. But climbing up the slide, it's like your feet are slippery. You have to hold on tight. It takes all your muscles. It takes focus and determination and resilience and all these things to go up a slippery slide. And that is the visual that I always think of when I have doubt is like it's gonna be there. This is not novel to me. This is human. And not everybody climbs up the slide.
True. That's a really good way of putting it. I love visuals. That's a great
Right.
imagery. Not everybody goes up the slide.
Yeah, and we all go down the slide at some point. And so I think living beyond the doubt is feeling the doubt, having the thoughts, and then saying yes anyway. Is climbing up the slide and just being like, and we go. And I've
Mm.
seen you do that, Megan, so much in this last year. So you are constantly climbing up that slide, you know? And me and you, we cry, we fear, we
Mhm.
panic, we want to hide, and then we take another step up the slide.
Yeah.
It's messy and it's human and it's not perfect and pretty, but I see you. I'm gonna keep going up this slide because it matters to
Yeah.
me, you know? That's how.
Yeah. Thank you. I received that. Yes, you're right. To take this road less traveled means to go up the slide.
Mhm.
I think recently I've taken my socks off, hoping that maybe that helps me grip
Yes, same. I'm
a
like
little bit better.
strategic. Yes.
We had the metal slides of death when I was growing up
Who actually does.
in Gen X here.
And
So,
that's the side I think of. That's the
me
one.
too.
Like
The
those
metal
silver
one.
metal ones, they're either burning you
Yep.
or they're so slippery.
Or you're falling off the side because
Exactly.
they're
There's no.
like 3 inches high. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the side I imagine when I think of doubt. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a good slide to represent doubt, I think.
It's like kind of dangerous. It's a little slippery. It's kind of sketchy. That's how life
Not
feels.
exactly fun going down either. You think it is, but
True. Very true. This will be great. Oh no.
no.
Not a soft landing.
I
So
have loved this so much. We could just keep chatting. You're very easy to talk to, and I can tell you are an excellent coach, and you're those who get to work with you are so lucky. We'll make sure and leave your links and your website and all of that, especially to your book
yes,
in the
yes.
show notes. But before we jump off, I just have a few quick questions to get to know you a little better. Just looking for 1 or 2 word answers. Okay. Tell us your favorite book.
The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. It really
That
is.
is a good one. It is a good one. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? I think you told us.
I'm a massive extrovert.
Most everybody this month has been introverts. So, yeah,
Really?
a lot of them have, some are ambiverts.
Yeah, my whole family is introverted, and there's
And
me,
you popped out.
the
Yeah.
baby of the family.
Tell us your favorite artist.
Ooh, like painting or music, doesn't matter.
You pick. Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna be real cheesy, but this is honest. My husband.
It's not cheesy. Lots are saying they're family members.
Oh, my husband Jared. He is a music artist. He's the Ascendant, and his music comes with a lot of purpose
Oh,
and passion. And he really, that's how he speaks his message to the world is through sound and just the words of his lyrics. And I'm like, he's masterful. So it's so cool to get the behind the scenes of an artist. And how do you not love that?
yeah. We'll have to put his info in the show notes too. Are you a morning lark or are you a night owl?
Night owl, 1,000,000%.
Tell us your celebrity crush, if you have.
Ooh, it was Paul Walker for a long time,
Oh, yeah.
and then Channing Tatum.
Okay. Awesome. And do you do still or carbonated water or diet soda or something else?
Mostly still water, and then I put like the relight in it, the
Mm,
electrolytes. That's my
flavor, the electrolytes, yeah. And then finally, the furthest place that you've traveled.
furthest place. I don't know if Costa Rica or Hawaii is further, or the Dominican. I don't know which is further.
I don't either, actually,
Maybe
but they all
Hawaii.
sound fun. Yeah, I
Maybe.
don't know. I don't know how far south they are compared to each other.
Mhm.
Well, this has been so much fun. I've loved talking with you and getting to share your message with all of my listeners and beyond, I'm sure. I'll make sure to leave all your contact info so that they can reach out. It's been a pleasure. I've loved this. Thank you so much. So much
Thank
love
you.
to you.
Love you.
Writer, teacher, author, Mormon scholar, and founder of Dialogue Journal, Eugene England said, "My faith encourages my curiosity and awe. It thrusts me out into relationship with all creation and encourages me to enter into dialogue." As a proud member of the Dialogue Podcast Network, my hope is that Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast is an extension of that vision. Visit meganskidmorecoaching.com to find this podcast and additional free resources, including the link for a complimentary coaching session. Follow me on Facebook or Instagram for more or to send me a DM. Help the podcast grow. Please follow, review, and share with a friend.